When you do that, your days are numbered. And I believe that this is our opportunity right now to stop it. And I do believe it will be stopped. You know, I've been all over the country in the last week or two talking to numerous Americans, and I see a wisdom there and a common sense that is not being manifested by a lot of our leaders, and certainly not by the media.
We have Trump economic advisor Steve Moore, Fortune magazine's Adam Lashinsky. Adam, I always tell people, whether you're on the right or the left, this is a guy who gets the stump speech, takes it to a whole nother level, tries to sprinkle in, almost with comedic timing, news events so that it doesn't sound repetitive. Hillary Clinton had better take note, shouldn't she?
I was thinking, my only quibble, Neil, is with the word repetitive. Trump repeats himself constantly, but I totally agree with you. He's a facile speaker. He's clever. He has good timing. I mean, you know, if we were to take, if it were between Trump, Bill Clinton, and Hillary Clinton, it would be Bill Clinton, Trump, Hillary Clinton in terms of speaking style.
Yeah, but I never saw a Simba moment like I did just now, and I've seen a number of times, and I think that rattles you a little bit, Adam. I think that does rattle you a little bit, but you never know.
Guilty as charged, Neil.
All right, I'm kidding you. Steve, one of the things that we talk about, you know, with Adam, you know, repetitive, each side is repetitive with their central argument, and, you know, Hillary Clinton goes on, and Steve, about what's going on with her opponent, and that he repeats himself, just like Adam said, and that he is a loose cannon, and but there's something about, and I don't know whether this is partly your inspiration, about the way Trump does it to intersperse news and what's happening. It does keep people's attention.
You know, this is the thing that's been the most remarkable thing about the whole Trump movement and Donald Trump's burst on the scene a year ago is this man, and I've been in politics for a long time, 30 years, I've very rarely seen a politician who is able to connect with the American people and sort of say things that a lot of other politicians, you know, were afraid to say, taking on political.
All right, I apologize. We lost Steve there. But Adam, one of the things that comes up in this, and we were showing some video of Chris Christie campaigning in the past for Mr. Trump. Chris Christie not doing that this weekend. He was supposed to be in New Hampshire, but maybe given the Bridgegate indictments that came down yesterday, have nothing involving the governor. Maybe the better part of valor was that he would not interfere with the campaign. But much has been made of the fact that it's Donald Trump solo at a lot of these events. He has surrogates. He has Ben Carson. He has some others. But he doesn't have a deep bench of Hollywood celebrities. He doesn't have a President Obama. He doesn't have a Michelle Obama. He doesn't have a Bill Clinton. And that is seen to his
detriment. He doesn't have a Paul Ryan either, for example.
But here he is, even and surging in the polls without any of that stuff.
We're getting close to Election Day.
You look depressed, Adam. I've known you for years. You just look sad. What's the matter?
Yeah, Neil, you're pushing me here. I am. He connects. We know who he connects with. He connects with many of the people watching us now, and connects with everybody at his rallies. But to say that he connects with the American people, well, we'll find out on Tuesday. I think it's actually.
Do you accept polls? Do you accept markets that have been trending down of late, largely on the fear that he just might win and he's an unknown, you know, entity? I mean, I'm just throwing a lot of data at you to say,
yeah,
well, obviously this is bigger than just, you know, angry white males.
I do, and you know, I think it's you have to be careful with over-interpreting things like the stock market route, but no doubt that global securities markets investors who pay attention to the state of the global economy are concerned that a man with horrible trade policies, who doesn't appear to have any impulse control, who just behaves in an obnoxious way constantly, could be the president of the United States.
You don't seem to like him too
totally
much.
take your
All
data
right.
point, Neil.
Well, Steve Moore is back with us now. And Steve, one of the things we were touching on briefly was this downdraft in the S&P, 9 days down in a row. There's market lore that says if the markets are down 3 months prior to Election Day, which technically they are right now, it's not good for the incumbent party that holds the White House. And it's that uncertainty more than anything else that's just rattling the markets. Do you buy that?
Look, I think there's this perception among some investors that a Trump presidency would be bad for the stock market. And I reject that. If you look at what we're going to do if Donald Trump wins, I mean, the first thing he's going to do is cut those taxes for businesses and not investors. That's going to help the stock market. The energy policy of promoting American energy, that's going to help, you know, the coal industry, the oil and gas industry. So I actually think you could see, if Trump wins this election, a real bull market expansion. And I go back
Steve,
to...
you go back to Reagan, though, but you mentioned Reagan. I didn't want to jump on you there, but the markets originally were falling under Reagan and originally falling on his election because of these fears. Now, we know it took a couple of years and a recession before everything kind of kicked into gear, and there was Paul Volcker and the Federal Reserve whipping inflation. That was no small element. But do you think we're going to be, if Donald Trump gets elected next week, if that is what happens, that we're looking at that, it's a rough haul in the beginning, and the markets then sort of bounce back after that? What do you envision?
Yeah, I think maybe a little rough sledding as markets try to figure out what this new president is going to do. But as these policies come into place, and look, we think in the first 100 days we can pass that tax cut. We can start drilling. We can start overturning a lot of Obama executive orders, for example, the coal plant laws that are putting so many of our coal mines out of work. And then you start to get that momentum. You're right, Neil. It wasn't until the start of 1982, a year after Reagan's election, that we went through the biggest bull market expansion in American history. I see something like that repeating if Trump wins. And I think it's so interesting in that speech today. What is Trump's closing argument? It's the economy, it's jobs, it's tax cuts, and I think that's exactly why he's going to win, because you look at those polls for the last 2 years, it's been jobs and the economy, issues number 1 and 2.
All right, guys, thank you very, very much. I apologize for the disruption with your connection there, Steve, but Adam just pulled the plug. I don't know why, but that's the way he rolls. Well, all right. In the meantime here, I do want to go back and show you something that I think was the highlight of that Trump event. And people will minimize this sort of stuff, but it is all for the crowds. It is all for something that will be played back again and again on TV. And I call it the Trump Lion King moment. He finds a baby in the crowd. The baby rarely cries, by the way. I've not seen these at Hillary Clinton events, but that's always dicey with babies, right? Kids and animals, you avoid them because they can upstage you. But again, the link with the Lion King movie, undeniable. Take a look at this. It is almost scripted to cue. We don't have it anymore, but I thought it was brilliant. Do not lose it in that control room. I think you guys know how great that is, and a signature moment. It could be a Simba moment. But now we have a John Sununu moment. There you go. There you go. Governor, did you see this Lion King moment? And do you think that's what they keep replaying throughout the day? Good to have you.
It's unbelievable. But look, be thankful for one thing. It's only 3 more days of this.
Do you know, when you were running for office and your family, I know your son is running for governor, of course, the family's steeped in politics. Do you avoid babies? Do you try to avoid that? Because that's always dicey, right?
Neil, I had 8 kids and 16 grandkids now. There's no way I can avoid babies.
No, but I mean, when you pick them out in the crowd, Trump is very fond of doing that.
I'm comfortable. I'm really comfortable with him. And it's up to the mother. I mean, to tell you talk about the mechanics of what a politician should do when there's a baby in the crowd. It's up to the mother. If the mother really wants you to do that, if the mother is asking you to take a hold of the baby and you're comfortable doing it, then you go right ahead and do it. But don't force it. But Donald, I think, did it very well. It was clear that the mother was there proffering her child to be touched by the next president of the United States, and I thought he handled it amazingly well. Let's put it that way. A lot of practiced politicians would not have done it that well. Your Lion King moment description is probably very apt.
Well, I got a kick out of it. With my daughter,
Yeah.
I think I saw that movie like 500 times when she was little. But Governor, I want to ask you, you maybe got in a little hot water with a comment you made about Hillary Clinton, in which you were sort of paraphrasing or playing off of Bill Clinton saying, "I did not have sex with that woman," referring that he meant his wife. Now, and that immediately got the state Democratic Party chairman in your fine state urging your son, who's running for governor, to disavow those remarks, saying that John Sununu's comments are sexist, chauvinistic, and disgusting, and they have no place in the Granite State. Chris Sununu needs to finally stand with New Hampshire women and disavow his father's misogynistic words. You say?
Well, the reason they're doing that is that their candidate got caught in play for pay. He got caught in delaying a contract and then refusing to rebid the contract when it was tainted, and the press reported he took $45,000. The other thing is that the governor of the state, who is running against Kelly Ayotte, not only got caught in a serious pay-for-play where she took $150,000 from a contractor, but she also had to return about $71,000 of illegal contributions that she took in Boston, Massachusetts. Look, the issue that I wanted to focus on at that event was the culture of corruption that the Clintons have brought to the campaign. And they have done it through the Democratic National Committee that really biased the campaign, so Bernie Sanders had no chance. They have done it with Terry McAuliffe asking Clinton to come in and raise money for his PAC, and then he giving well over $500,000 in what I call an attempted bribe. He gave it to the wife of the deputy director of the FBI when she was running for office in Virginia. So the issues today in terms of closing arguments aren't those distractions. The issues today are what you heard Donald Trump talk about Obamacare, about what's going on in terms of in our state drifting to be like states in New England that were so different. New Hampshire always had an advantage, and over 20 years, Democratic governors have sliced away the advantage that we had. So those are the issues we ought to be talking about at this point.
Well, you got it. You know how these things go, Governor. But as your son talk to you and say, Dad, you're a great campaigner, you're great out on the stump, but you got to cool it with that kind of talk.
He's out working his tail off campaigning.
Okay.
Do you think I'd be on your show if we were getting lectures?
That's a very good point. Let me step back also and get a sense of how the Granite State looks right now. First of all, on the presidential side, and in that key Senate race where I guess it's as close as even as you can get, so is the presidential race. What's happening?
Well, New Hampshire is a tough state to poll, but I think right now Trump is either even or maybe a point ahead. I think the key polls are what's going on in states that more traditionally reflect polling results. States like Michigan, Colorado, Nevada. You even pointed out Pennsylvania. Those states have a much broader population to poll, and frankly, I think are a little bit more predictable in polling. In New Hampshire, we have these long presidential primaries, then we have another primary in September, and our voters are tired of answering the phone. I think in other states, they're much more accommodating to the polls.
I think you're right. But what's weird about it, though, Governor, is that, let's say in the case of Kelly Ayotte, who was kind of disavowed Donald Trump, and that was thought to get her in hot water, but it was soon after the release of that videotape. But she's doing okay, and so is Donald Trump. So there
so is my son, who's supporting Donald Trump.
Exactly. So I guess confusion abounds interpreting that. What do you say?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's not an easy thing to interpret. And I think people that draw too many conclusions from New Hampshire polls sometimes get surprised. I think the thing the candidates have to do is go full speed ahead here. Trump is coming back, I think, on Monday. to go full speed ahead. I think what you're going to see is a strong closing argument presented in New Hampshire, but people really want to hear issue positions. There's a lot of voters, I don't know what the right number is, but 10, 15% in some places that haven't made up their minds. Talk to them about Obamacare. Talk to them about an economy in the state that isn't providing jobs for the young people.
But if you were advising him, though, Governor, and I'm looking at Mr. Trump's stops in the next, let's say today, and tomorrow, this includes tomorrow, Florida and Colorado, North Carolina, Nevada. Do you think he should be beefing up his presence in Pennsylvania, that if the Democrats are so worried about holding on to that Democratic state, that maybe he should capitalize on that?
Neil,